come along with us as we dive into the fascinating world of sound, exploring its many dimensions, blending the best of both worlds to uncover the secrets of sound, voice, and vibration. I want to welcome you to this new series that we're going to be doing monthly. And this was the brainchild of myself and one of my colleagues who actually took the course with me to become a certified sound therapist. And she and I both are very passionate about sharing the science and the metaphysics of sound, voice, and vibration. And I wanted to start the series off with a conversation with one of my virtual clients who graciously agreed to do a form of video testimonial in one of these conversations. I hope you enjoy. So as I said, this is my wonderful client, Erin. And I've been working with Erin. We've figured it out since the beginning of 2020, the end of 2022. So it's been a little over a year, I think, at this point already. My gosh. And
Yeah.
she is one of my virtual clients. And she was seeing me initially, I think maybe twice, almost actually it was once a week. I think we were doing it for a while there. Yeah, in the beginning. And she very graciously has offered to do a video testimonial for the sessions. And I'm so honored, really. Thank you, Erin, so much.
You're welcome.
So when you, what first brought you to me? What first sort of made you want to try sound therapy? Even though I know you have a musical background, so that could have been
hmm
one reason, right?
As a musician, when the pandemic hit, I went back to school because I wanted to finish a psychology degree and maybe marry that and get into music therapy. So kind of put pair the music and the psychology together. I was thinking, like, what do I do now? I can't really teach in person because of COVID. So as a result of doing an independent study in music therapy, I was just trying to research and absorb and take in everything I could that had to do with, music and healing. And I came across your website. And that's when I reached out and I said, "Oh, this lady seems cool." So we got to try this out.
That's great. That's so great. And I want to introduce your doggies too. Because
That's
Gidget
good.
on the left, right? Gidget behind
Mine.
her. Gidget
Yeah,
has been a regular at our sessions.
yeah, she's a client too.
And this is Frank, or what's his name? Shotzi, aka
Shotzi.
Frank.
Yeah, yeah. He's here temporarily for now.
And they're a part of it, right? They're all a part of that
Yeah, they are.
high vibrational thing that we all do. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
can you, if you'd like to explain a little bit about, I guess your first impressions of the sound therapy, even in the virtual environment too, because
Or,
some people say, "Oh, how could that work?" But obviously it does.
yeah, I was not sure what to make of it and how it would work the first time. I think as a musician, I was trying to take it all in, and I think my ears were listening, but because I didn't know what to, I was listening to the different sounds, and the curiosity, I think, may have been a little distracting at first. Because to me, I was like, well, what is that? And what is she playing? And, it was just like the whole experience. I think I needed to kind of process that before I could kind of like sit with what was actually happening to me or what I really could get out of it. Just because musically, it was just such a huge change, from the music I had been hearing or listening to. Like I don't have singing bowls or any of the instruments that you do. And
Yeah.
so after that first session, I think we did maybe one or two sessions, but I kind of said, okay, I tried that, and I kind of walked away from it for a little while. I kind of said that was interesting, but I'm not sure I've gotten what I thought I was going to get out of it because I was still kind of exploring, all different, therapies and whatever. I was diagnosed with CPTSD. So as a result of the degree in psychology that I was working on and my own history with trauma, I was trying to help myself and in turn help others. And then I think it was months later, that I had that dream in the middle of the night. I was really stressed out about a family situation. And I had this dream and I woke up and I emailed you at like 3 o'clock in the morning because whatever was in this dream, this message was go back to sound healing, but it wasn't just go back to sound healing. It was like Ruth, reach out to Ruth specifically. There was something there that you need that only she is going to be able to give you. So it wasn't like, hey, try somebody else, maybe that was a way in, to help you. It was like, nope, bang, Ruth Ratliff. It was like somebody dropped the idea and the picture and the image in my mind while I was sleeping. And I emailed you or I called you, I think. And I said, hey, I want to try this again.
It's so interesting. Yeah, I just had a similar experience with feeling, going through a lot of things, and stuff, a lot of stuff coming up. I notice a lot of us are having that lately. And this one woman, specific one woman's name kept coming into my head. See Susan, see Susan, see Susan.
Oh, wow.
Right? It's very similar. It's like almost like they're a vibrational match for you. So maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
we're a vibrational match. And Erin is a very talented singer and pianist and a voice teacher as well. So I feel, that's obviously our connection. We connect on that level as well
Sure.
musically. So being teachers as well. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I know because sometimes people will, they're one and done with the session, right? Because initially I notice a lot of people, especially people who are musical, will be left braining the whole time. They'll be like, what does that sound? What is she playing? Ooh, that's cool. Ooh, listen to that, So
I want to get one. Yeah, I want
yeah,
that.
they're totally analyzing the sounds instead of just allowing. So you need more than one session to really sort of first get over that piece of it and then allow yourself to just receive, right?
Yes.
Just receive. So when you started to receive, would you like to share a little bit about how it felt for you and the
I
benefits?
did write a few things down
Sure.
as each session, as we concluded each session, I would kind of journal a little bit.
Oh,
So I
cool.
do want to write down, yeah, because I did want to do this with you and for you at some point, just so other people, would have an idea of what you do and what it was. Um, so basically I'm gonna just see if I could remember so I'm not looking for it too much. I feel like when I went back to it, there was a reason for it. It wasn't me just trying it. I was getting this message to like, I need to work with you. And after we spoke on the phone, that's when I really committed to it. Instead of just saying like, oh, let's see where this goes. It was like, okay, I'm going to give into this and I'm really going to just try to let go, and because it's, music therapy is more like, analyzing lyrics and improvising on the piano and it's like a more active role. You're kind of doing things that to help yourself, whereas the sound vibrational healing is more of a passive, just allowing it, just allowing it to get into parts of your body where you're storing trauma. Because I've done therapy, I've done EMDR, I've done all sorts of things, to try to, be less reactive and to try to, calm myself and be more mindful, in my relationships. And where I feel like it's helped, I'm still not there, so obviously I needed something else. And this was the something else. I feel like it was like you were able to reach, and this sounds very woo-woo probably to some people, but I'm thinking more in terms of the universe and connecting with your higher self and your higher self knowing what you need. And other people, like your higher self could connect with my higher self because of who you are, which in turn will allow me to receive messages, for about things that I need or where I should be going or the path that I'm supposed to be on, because I think we sometimes close ourselves off to that. If we don't allow that or meditate or chant or do something to kind of, let the universe steer us in the right direction, then where are we going to go?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. There is something very, and they say woo, but woo to true now. It's woo to true because
Yeah.
they're finding out quantum physics, especially is the study of quantum physics is really exploding now with finding out all of these new layers and levels of existence and reality that we hadn't even considered before. It's like what you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
So who knows how the sound moves through us and what it affects and how it affects us. And it's not just the physicality, it's our energy bodies, right? There's energy, there's trauma that is stored in many levels and layers of our energy, of our frequencies in our body. And it's very fascinating how, a lot of people will say that they've gone to talk therapy for years. I also did that as well. And the sound gets into places the talk can't somehow.
That's just
It
it. I mean, I can
reaches, yeah.
hold on a second. He has a squeaky toy.
I can't even hear it. But that'll be
Oh,
fun.
okay.
That'll be fun with going through the video. No, it'll actually be funny.
Okay. Okay. I just,
Oh,
what was
how cute.
that? All right.
Hey,
Yeah. No.
this is right. This is like live, live TV.
Yeah. No. This is very real life. Yeah.
So from a long-term effect, what do you think? Have you noticed any shifts in the way you feel or the way you react and
Well, that's just it.
respond?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The reacting, especially because I always was aware that I was reactive. And there were times where my older daughter would even say, "You're still hanging on to that. You don't think you are, but you're still hanging on to that."
Yeah.
And over the course of the past year, both of my kids have said, like, "You seem different. Like, we can't, like, you're just lighter, you know?" And sometimes when the kids are home for a holiday and they kind of butt heads, I'll feel the need to get involved because I need to keep the peace. I need to make it better. And I've been able to stay out of it. I've been able to let them handle it. I've been able to just like calmly and mindfully say, "I'm not happy about what's going on right now. I would really like for you guys to have a conversation so it doesn't end up, where you leave and you're mad or whatever." So I find myself praising myself, which I generally wouldn't do, and thinking like, "Oh, well done, girl. You would have handled that differently 6 months ago."
So interesting, because that's a really big piece of what sound therapy, one of the benefits of sound therapy, in my experience as well as other, my clients, is the ability to respond rather than react. And you're basically getting into it's getting you into that state of heart-brain coherence.
Mhm.
And the more you can do that, what they call heart-brain coherence, just to quickly explain, both our brain and our heart produce what they call a torus field that radiates out, several an electromagnetic field that radiates about 3 to 4 feet from our bodies. And when those two fields are in coherence, when they are synced up, that can get you into what they call a resting brain state. And that resting brain state is an optimal state where you feel more calm, more centered, more creative, um, have more problem solving abilities, and also you build resiliency. That's a huge piece for me, being exposed to sound as I am for many years now. Is what I've noticed is I feel like I am on, yeah, we all have our ups and downs, but I feel like I'm on more of an even keel. And I'm thinking more or I'm feeling into more when something triggers me. Instead of just, we're having that immediate reaction, I'm starting to have an awareness of, okay, why is that triggering me? And it's allowing me to stop, listen, look inside, then respond. And that sort of all happens kind of in the space of a couple seconds, but it's a it's very different from the way I used to uh, go through life, with
Sure.
triggering and reacting. Yeah, it's fascinating. Mm, mm, mm. Anything else you'd like to
I,
add?
yeah, actually, one of the first messages, and I'm not sure how I'll use the word receive. the messages. I have a background where deceased relatives sometimes will come, and it feels like I'm having a conversation. So I think I am open, to more things now that I used to be. And but when somebody would tell me a story, I would never say like, oh, that couldn't happen. Like I'm always open to people's experiences and what other people have told me, So I think when I started getting these ideas or messages during session, I would think to myself, like, what is that? Like, who is saying that? Is that me talking to myself? Is that, Ruth's higher self talking to my higher self? Like, where is this coming from? But they always made sense. It wasn't something out of left field. Like one of the messages I first got was that I needed to relearn music. And as a musician, I thought to myself, I teach music. How do I have to relearn music? This makes no sense. But as time progressed, I realized that a lot of my personal music and history with music, there's a lot of negativity attached. Whereas now I feel like I can sing in front of more people, not just my students. I feel like I've got a little bit more. It's more easily shared now, where I kind of kept it more to myself because I think it was tainted. I think growing up, it was never supported in my house. As singers, we have to make weird sounds with our voices when we're warming
Yes.
up, and people in my house, my brother and sister would say like, stop doing that. Stop, mom, make her stop, so and they would, and as I grew as a musician, people in my church even would take advantage of the fact that I was a kid, but I was an adult, but I didn't need to get paid. We'll get Erin to do it. We'll get Erin to do it. And after a while, it was like I would never get considered for a paying job, but they had me doing every other aspect of that job, but they wouldn't give me the title. So it was kind of like, well, you're not going to take me seriously, but I'm talented enough to do all this work all the time.
Yeah, sure.
So I think I didn't know what the message to relearn music was, but over time and learning from you, I have gotten more into chanting and meditation. I bought myself a singing bowl, and it's kind of like, this is what that meant. You need to use your voice, but maybe not for performing. You need to use it more for yourself. You need to maybe, chant and heal and do these things before you can even go back to what you were doing or move on to what you should be doing.
Beautiful. Yes. The whole getting into this aspect of music or vibration has completely made me rethink my voice and
Mm.
what it's for, how to use it, and really it's for your own healing. And I think that he's too cute.
It's funny.
Oh, he's a cutie. Yeah, completely. And what's so cool is that, in this within the sessions, it makes sense to me if we are vibration, right? And frequency, that you are being in a way you're being lifted up vibrationally by the session. So you are more available, right? To hear messages, to get impressions and guidance, and also to see those people who have gone on in spirit as well. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me after sessions and said, I saw my deceased husband came to me. One gal, her son, it was not too long ago, her son committed suicide, young
Mm.
man. And she had been, obviously, understandably grieving for many, many, many months. And he came to her in the session, and he
Wow.
said, "Mommy, I love you. There's no reason, for you. Don't grieve for me. I'm fine. I'll see you soon." And
Mm.
she said she was just obviously, very emotional for her, and she said it just lifted this weight from her heart.
Of course.
So, how do we explain that? I mean, it's to me, I guess it's easy to say, yeah, your vibration was raised, but it's I sort of understand that on an emotional level, but not on a real, the actual mechanism of how that works, we haven't figured that out yet. And do we really need to? It
Well,
works.
what's interesting is that
Cool,
I
but
watched that Netflix show on the blue zones and longevity. And a recurring theme around the world where these people were living longer and healthier was singing with a choir because it raises your vibration because you're singing and you're connecting. So when you're connecting with people through music, it's like a totally different language. So I think that really does, regardless of what the music is, or if you're singing with two people or chanting, or, you've got somebody washing over you, this sound over you, you're still connecting.
that's
So I think that that does have a lot to do with it.
you're
And I
very
think
good.
part of my resistance at first might have been that I grew up Catholic and I was told, Reiki is bad and don't try any of this woo-woo stuff. And now the Catholic Church is fine with Reiki. They've been coming out and saying like, no, you can go and do Reiki now because they've seen how it helps people and it's not bad or it's it's not what they thought it once was. That I think they were just not aware and scared of it. And
I,
now
yes.
you look on WebMD, they talk about the chakras. Like people are,
Great.
yeah, yeah.
It's so great.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is the way we're moving.
No, it's so great. I'm so it's really cool. I mean, even there's a lot going on. Oops, I hope that wasn't a problem. I said one of my cords was out. I think there's so much going on that people say is negative. The world's in turmoil, but there's so much more that is moving, that is evolving and expanding and opening and becoming more free and easy. There's so much more underlying that. I think that it's a really cool time to be alive right now on the planet. Yeah,
Sure.
really cool. So that's so wonderful. You just I feel a lot of times when we get into these modalities, we get into them to heal ourselves. And like you said at the very beginning of this video, that you wanted to get into therapy, psychology, because you wanted to use your experience to help others. And I think that's really what a lot of us do this for, is initially to help ourselves, but maybe initially sometimes we do it to help others, but then really we're healing ourselves. So
What's interesting too is I was starting out last year around this time for a master's in social work. I had completed my psychology degree and which I didn't have too much left to do. And I got sidetracked. Something happened in my family where I had to pull out of my first semester of my master's degree. And I was so upset, but I thought, okay, I'll go back to it. I'll go back to it. And over the course of the year, the more I've been working with you, the less I've been wanting to do with a master's in music therapy or social work because I was hellbent. This is the track I want to go. I want to be a music therapist. I want to heal people with music. But the more I researched music therapy and sound and vibrational healing, as much as it's the same, it seems so different. And I'm drawn now more because I've experienced more of the vibrational sound healing and you using your voice and your instruments. I feel in the past year, I have experienced more healing than I have than in, over 20 years of on and off therapy. Whether I was doing EMDR, whether I was doing, whatever I was, yoga or this or that, yoga, in trauma informed yoga. I've tried all sorts of stuff. I had a really crazy childhood and, I really didn't want to bring that into being a mom, so I started years ago, like, how do I get rid of it? And it's like, you don't get rid of it I think I had the idea of like, oh, if I try this and this works, it'll get rid of it. But I'm realizing that to move through it, you've got to let it kind of pass through you. And it's a daily commitment. It's a daily commitment. And like, that's why I started working with you once a week, because I felt like it's not like, it's like, you're not going to experience a one and done thing. and like even the EMDR that I'm doing right now, I feel like it's helping me kind of put things together in my head and remember things that I didn't even know I had forgotten.
Yep.
But at the same time, I will schedule a session with you after I've done a session with EMDR because I need that. I need to kind of balance it out because I'm reliving the trauma. And then I kind of meet with you, or sometimes I go for like an actual massage. But to me, this feels, it's like a musical massage. It's like I'm sitting with the trauma, I'm sitting with the emotion, but I mentioned to you, I bring you in to my EMDR sessions. There are different ways to do EMDR. The way the person I do it with, the doctor that I do it with, she has me bring in people in my life who have been supportive, who have wanted to help me in situations where there was just no help. And I felt helpless. And so at one point she said, like, is there anybody new? Is there anybody else that you want to bring in and one is your people, as one of your people kind of thing. And I said, I really want to bring in Ruth. Because I love the feeling during session where my blood pressure goes down and I'm not thinking about anything else and I'm just allowing the healing. I'm allowing this woman to use her voice. When you sing, it's like a lullaby. And it's like the lullaby I never got when I was a kid. So that is healing my past trauma. And that's something I needed that you're now, it might sound a little nutty, but you're bringing that into me as an adult. It's like I needed that and you're giving it to me now and I'm experiencing this now. So in EMDR, when we're discussing a trauma situation where I needed someone who could have soothed me, or I needed somebody who could have nurtured me or protected me, I feel like, you're out there in the universe and you're taking care of people. So I bring you into my EMDR sessions as somebody who I know I can rely on.
Wow. Well, it's been a great honor, Erin, to hold space for you to receive. Because, I think that when you say you have this, you schedule this session after, I think it's helping to integrate this, what you have, the work you did in the EMDR session, or
Sure.
the other sessions that you do. And, I mean, I went to talk therapy for a long time myself, and it was very helpful. And I feel like all the stuff that you've been doing to help yourself for many years has laid a groundwork, and it keeps leveling you up to where you were ready to finally, or at least, try this modality. And this modality is also leveling you up as well. So there was this, you've been progressing the whole time with all of these wonderful therapies that you've been doing. And it's amazing. It really is. It's, there's so much, I think there's a field called psychoacoustics that's very interesting, that there's, it's the psychology of why sound affects us. I assume that's what that is. And I think that's pretty, I think that's a really cool study. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that, but in another way, not so much, not the, should I say, the 3D way? I mean, there's only so much science can only take us so far, like our basic bottom line science. So we have to think out of the box, or get rid of the box entirely. Because it's dealing with something that is it's very difficult, as you say, it sounds silly or it sounds woo-woo, but it's not. It's just something that we don't have a complete understanding of yet. It doesn't mean it's not valid, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Just like you said, the Catholic Church is accepting Reiki now. Yeah.
Well, I think more people are accepting the fact that this is not new. When I was doing, I asked to do an independent study on music therapy during my psychology degree because they didn't have that. They didn't offer music therapy at Penn State. And so one of my music professors wrote the course for me. And I loved it because I could read whatever I want. There was no textbook. And I was pulling information from all these places that said, this is what we used to do. This is how they used to heal people. And now and people have been trying to bring it back and trying to bring it back, but it's like when there's a pill for that, it's an easy fix. And now more people and more people are accepting it. The more people I tell about you, I know one of my friends already booked a session with you, and she, reported back that Ruth is amazing. And, I'm trying to get my daughters, when you're a mom, you tell your kids something is good for you, they're not going to do it. But I'm trying to get them, to book a session with you, because I think as musicians, they'll both benefit from it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's there's a different way. I wish I had, in a way, I wish I had this experience of my own voice through sound healing to when I was teaching voice myself, because I was always more holistically minded about the voice and very use a lot of somatic movement and so forth. But this whole nother way of producing the tone, of allowing the tone, of listening to it, of embodying it, is it opens you up in so many ways you can't even say, and it also frees your voice. It just frees you to be more you, more you. Like you said, you're singing more, and you feel
Well,
better about it.
I
You
bring you
know.
into my voice lessons too. I'm
Aw.
working with a college professor, and it's so interesting that everybody I come in contact with, I will bring you up at some point,
Oh.
because even my vocal teacher will say, "Well, what would Ruth have you do?" Because we've worked with some of that somatic stuff. We've worked with some of the vocal stuff, and the vocal toning. And so if I'm stuck, working on a song, or, stuck in my head voice, or I can't get into wherever I want to tap into in my own voice, um, Danielle will say to me, it's like, okay, well, what would Ruth have you do? Let's do something that Ruth would do, because she knows I'm more comfortable with that.
Yes, yes.
And I'll relax into it a little bit more than her just saying, do this or do that.
That's so great. Yeah, it takes a village, Erin, right? It
Yeah,
takes a village to heal. It does. We need other people. We need other people.
absolutely.
You know, it's interesting. Yeah, and Erin this morning just told me something. It was a video that I had posted. It was a pretty raw video yesterday. And I took it down, and she's like, "I saw your video. It was great." And I'm like, "Okay." She was like the third person that said something to me about that. I'm like, "All right, I guess I'll put it up again." It's just interesting how we perceive ourselves, in from the inside out, and how different that is looking at us from other people, and we just don't realize how our light, our vibration, uh, our energy can affect other people. And I'm like I said, I'm honored really to have been such a helpful part of your journey in your life so far, Erin. Thank you so much. Did you want to say anything else before we break?
No, well, yeah, I mean, I just want you to know that how influential you are. I think sometimes we feel like, "Oh, okay, we've got our small little group of people, and I'm only not, I'm only getting my voice out, to so many people." But it does build over time. And if you find the right people, like if you, suggest a book, I'm gonna read it. Like there are certain people in my life where anything that comes from you, I know is going to come from your heart. And everything, that you post, I'm not big on social media, but you are a very influential person. And I know it's not just to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Of
I feel like
course.
you help those whoever hears your message. They're meant to hear your message, and it doesn't matter if it's 10 or 10,000. It just doesn't, because we're all part of the whole, right? And we all play this beautiful, unique part of this existence and what we call reality, and what we call God, right? Whatever our
Yeah.
idea of the all that is. Yeah, we're all part of that. Yes, yes. What did I just went to a conference in Arizona a while back, just a few weeks ago, with my husband, and Greg Braden was one of the speakers, and he said he found it, I can't even go into it. It's so complicated, but somehow he found this code. He calls it the God code in our DNA. That using gematria, which is assigning letters to numbers. Don't ask me how to go into it any more than that. But basically, what he found out the code, where the letters YHVH and Yahweh is
Yeah, that's what I
YH,
was just, yeah.
and God within the body, and we are God eternal within the body. Is there are four components of the DNA, and in each of those, it was all some form of YHVH. And the
Wow.
odds of that happening are ridiculous. So anyway, if you want a better explanation of that, look up Greg Braden, the God Code. And he gives a really good, much better explanation than I did, of course. But, we are that. Like I am, we are that. And who are we to hold ourselves small? And I think keeping your mind small is a form of holding yourself small. And I think that that's a big piece of what working with sound has done for me personally. It has opened me up and expanded me even more to really maybe think, maybe I really am that.
Mm.
I am that. I am part of the all that is, right? And a very integral part. So when we start to hold on or accept our own divinity, in whatever form that occurs for each of us, I think that's when magic can happen. And this has been such a great conversation. I'm so honored and so blessed to know you, Erin. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I'm glad the dogs behaved.